Welcome to the beautiful red desert of Wadi-Rum. This is probably the closest you're ever gonna see of us as far as a Mars tour, because you can tell the topography and the color of the sand. It does look almost like you're in Mars. It's definitely very unique, very beautiful. We're gonna be going on some camel rides. We're also going to be doing a Jeep tour, hanging out with some Bedouins. It's gonna be amazing time. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. And when you guys are making your next culture trip, make sure you include Wadi-Rum.
You don't want to be an American idiot and try to drive into the desert to your Bedouin camp, because we did that in our two-wheel drive SUV and we actually made it about 3/4 of the way, which is about 3/4 of the way further than we should have. We had to have a bunch of Bedouins help push us out, and then we had to haul ass to not get stuck again on our way back.
One of our favorite tools when we're traveling is Google Maps. Unfortunately, Google Maps does not work well in the Middle East at all.
Yeah, that is unless you want to try to drive into the middle of the desert like we did. We do not have footage of that. I have to tell you, it was stressful. I love to drive. I actually really enjoyed the way back when they were like, go as fast as you can. And so we were like doing that. But I gotta tell you, when you start like slowing down and you feel yourself starting to slip in this dirt in the middle of a desert, you're like envisioning the whole Spaceballs things where you're like, water, water, oil, oil. And luckily there were Bedouins out there with Jeeps to help pull us out and kind of be our saviors. And we're gonna get to meet one of them here in a little bit because he took us around and showed us some really cool stuff. So what you're supposed to do is there's a parking area right as you get into the village, and then they'll set up a guide to drive you out into the desert. And we were about halfway out there when we realized that it was only 4x4s out there. And one of our friends who's going to be our guide on tomorrow's thing really hooked us up, and a couple of other people stopped and helped push us out, and then he let us out. So we're going to spend some time with our hero tomorrow, and don't be like us.
And this is how you're supposed to go out in the desert to get to your village. Our way was pretty fun though, not gonna lie, but I don't recommend it.
No. We're like way out on that little island out there in the middle of all this garbage. I'm surprised we made it as far as we came, because this sand gets pretty damn deep, especially as you get further along. The key really apparently is go as fast as you really can, and have a 4x4 is better. Almost everybody who comes here actually stays the night in one of these Bedouin camps, and we would definitely suggest that. We stayed at Wadi-Rum Quiet Village, and they were awesome. I can't tell you that's just a great place to do it.
Yeah, it was awesome. They had really great service, and their prices were really nice for their tours. And I loved the camaraderie. Everybody had their own tent, and they'd come out at night and they'd sit by the fire, and there was some tea, and then they had these really special dinners every night. So they're gonna show us how the Zarb oven works, the traditional Bedouin oven. There's a little tour of it, and I'm pretty darn excited. The Zarb was one of those experiences I was really looking forward to. It was really important for their culture, and it was such a great experience and some really delicious food. But I don't want to talk too much about it because you guys are going to have to tune in next week to see the entire video. Waking up in this cold tent, but this beautiful sunrise in the middle of the desert is well worth it. Guys, check this out. Wow. The moon's still out, it's about 7 o'clock. It's absolutely beautiful. We are going to be going on a 5-hour Jeep tour, and then we're gonna do a sunset camel ride. So it should be another really great day in Wadi-Rum. Really looking forward to it. It's about time for breakfast. We're the first ones here. It looks like a nice spread, and it looks like a beautiful morning, so I'm looking forward to getting out there.
A lot of these tours are set up in the back of trucks with like cushy seats and all that kind of stuff. The nice thing about going with your like hero buddy park ranger who saved you the day before is you get a better view, I think, and you bounce around like popcorn on top of this roof of this old Land Cruiser. I think it added to it.
Oh, this is amazing! So we are on our Jeep tour of Wadi-Rum and this beautiful desert. And our guide, Aiman, is crazy man, hanging out at the door and driving at the same time. But this is absolutely amazing. This should be a great day.
Welcome. Welcome to Wadi-Rum.
We're up here surfing on the roof on top of this Jeep, and this is our view. It's absolutely gorgeous. The desert is amazing, and then you have the beautiful rocks, and there's like no one out here. The sky is completely clear and blue, and it's a lot of fun up here. It's a little rickety, so you gotta kind of hold on, but man, it's wild, it's great. And this is a really great first part of our Wadi-Rum tour. And our first stop of our Jeep tour was a place that's pretty popular. Luckily we got there pretty early so there weren't too many people, but it definitely starts getting crowded, and there's this cool big sand dune that has a cool view on the top.
Every step is like you slide down half of your step.
Mm-hmm.
On the plains of Mars. They actually filmed part of The Martian here. And a lot of other, like Lawrence of Arabia and all those different things. But quite nice. And the walk up is a really good glute exercise, especially if you're in as bad a shape as I am, but the view is just epic, and that's why we decided to use it for the intro to this video.
We're here at the first stop of our Jeep tour with Aiman. We are going to some places that tourists mostly don't go, although this is not one of them. But I did want to show you over my shoulder in the shadow of this other mountain. That's where we're staying. It's called the Wadi-Rum Quiet Village, and it's beautiful and it's affordable and nice. But if you're here this time of year, which we're here in November, make sure you ask for a second blanket, especially if you're from Florida.
And we spent some time up there, and it was such a beautiful view. And I tell you, going down the hill was much easier than going up. And then we went and jumped in the Jeep and headed off to our next stop, which ended up being a cool little hike, and we saw something cool there.
So it very well could be new, but we are right next to a little cave here, and there are these little carvings. Don't know what these symbolize here because I haven't really studied it, but this definitely looks like a mountain goat, right? Maybe it's an arrow. Maybe it's aliens. Oh look, it's like a spaceship. Aliens, aliens, aliens! And for those of you who haven't been watching us for months, I freaking hate the alien guy. And so I used to have hair and I'd be like pulling my hair out and go aliens. And there's some good footage of that if you go back and look through all of our other 70 videos, which I encourage you to do anyway. But I don't think that aliens were there. And no aliens were harmed in the making of this video. It's beautiful and there's nobody else out here right now. We've just switched, I don't know if you can see it, from the red sand to the white sand. So we are in the white desert right now, which I'm told is a place that most tourists do not go. Our guide, Aiman, is taking us to a true Bedouin camp where we're going to get to have lunch, Bedouin style.
It's going to be an amazing cultural experience. It's just been such a great trip, and this is going to be the cherry on top.
The cherry on top. They probably don't have cherries.
Probably not. No, it's going to be the hummus on top.
Or the dates on top of the hummus.
Who
knows? But it's going to be awesome, and we are having a blast. And man, this is what we see. This is one of the biggest benefits, I would say, of going with Aiman. Is he'll take you places that other people won't take you, and you get to do it with a bird's eye view.
We're here at this famous natural bridge, and it's really cool. It's way up in the air. Our guide's gonna take our picture, and it looks like it is our turn.
No sé, le hemos dado 90 euros. A él no, pero...
I don't remember what it's called. Our guide tried to tell us, but I'll put the name up in the comments.
And on any trip pretty much that you do there, you're going to go to that natural bridge. It was very touristy, but it is famous for Instagram. And so we probably have some pictures already up on Instagram, and we'll put the one up that Aiman took of us this week. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, you probably should do that too.
Yeah, and then it was time to get back on the road and finally get to that Bedouin camp, and we were really looking forward to it. So about that Bedouin camp, we were super excited, and Aiman made it seem like it was gonna be awesome. Unfortunately, you know, they don't have good cell service around here. So by the time we got there, the guy who was there was not there, so we weren't able to have lunch. There were some cool animals. We got to see some goats and a donkey and a bunch of really cute dogs, but not what we were expecting.
So one thing you definitely need if you're going to be a Bedouin and live out here in the middle of the desert is water. So they have a truck full of water and a bladder full of water, and if they need more water, they can drive their truck into town. But for the most part, it probably just sits out here. They do have a lot of livestock here to feed. That is their lifestyle, or that is their way of making a living. And they have the dogs to protect the place, although they were pretty sweet. They were vicious to the car, but they were sweet to us.
And our next stop was this canyon. I want to call it a cool canyon because it was cooler than it was outside. Luckily, we were there in November, so it wasn't quite as hot. I am not sure this would be a worthwhile hike if it was really hot outside. It was pretty, it was cool. It's a little more work than we thought. And much like last week's Stairway to Nothing, if you want to go back and check that from Little Petra, I'm not sure it was worth the hike, but we did it anyway.
And if you are taking Aiman's tour, make sure you bring some water. You're gonna have to walk probably a little more than you expected, especially in the middle of the day like this. It does get a little hot. Luckily you're in some canyons sometimes, so there's a little bit of shade. So try to find some shade, keep yourself hydrated, you'll have a great time. So this is the small arch here, and as you can see, it is very, very crowded. We already did the land bridge, which I think was probably more impressive, so we're not going to be going up here. If you have the time and you want to, absolutely do it. But for now, we're just gonna take a couple of shots from down here. But the next place we were going had some cool historical significance.
We're at the base of Lawrence of Arabia's spring, and there's a bunch of what looks to be old language carved into this rock. If anybody knows what this says or what culture it's from, let us know in the comments below. It could very well be something more modern too that's just here to fool people like me who don't study before we come across. One of the guides who was here told me that there's just a mix of like 3 languages up here. There's some Greek, there's some Nabatean, there's some Israeli, and so what it sounds like is because this was famous for a long time as a spring and it was a place that people would come, that this is more like just old graffiti. So I don't think it's telling us anything too profound, and I couldn't read it if it was.
So behind me, where this tree is actually where the Lawrence Spring is, and of course that's named after Lawrence of Arabia, famous British explorer. And the Bedouins have actually used piping to transport the water down here, and they will use it to give water to their camels and their donkeys, and sometimes some of it's used for drinking water.
The view is beautiful. This is one of the more popular places that people come to, and there's a tree out in the middle of the desert over here. We're standing on top of the rock that has all of the etchings on it. So something interesting that you don't see everywhere is that there is no ATM in all of Wadi-Rum. You have to come all the way out to Joe Petroleum. It's a 15-minute drive, and it supposedly had an ATM, but it does not anymore. So you can give the guy who runs the gas station your credit card and run your credit card, and for 8% fee, he will give you cash. And it's better than having to drive another 45 minutes to get to an ATM. Plus, because we're on the bonus, we actually just got 30% back in rewards. So not horrible, but very interesting, and it'll probably make you uncomfortable. So just bring cash whenever you're in like one of the main cities, because it'll be a lot more convenient, but maybe a little less adventurous and a little bit less of a culture trip. And this is one of the tours that we did do through Wadi-Rum Quiet Village, and it is a sunset camel tour. It really was awesome, although it is very awkward getting onto the camels.
David, you want to take your photo?
You're strong. Good job.
Say hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, can't believe we're finally doing this. It's beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. The back of a camel right now, doing a sunset tour through our camp, the Wadi-Rum Quiet Village camp. Really great prices, really great service. This is a magical experience. You know, I've ridden horses a few times, and I think I might have ridden a camel when I was like 4 around a circle. This is a much different experience, and it's really beautiful out here. I can't wait to see the sunset from this viewpoint, and I'm sure you guys are going to look forward to it too.
Wasn't nearly as bumpy as I thought it would be. It was quite the experience and enjoyable, and the view is just amazing. And this is an awesome animal. You did so good. I'm proud of you. You're good.
It really was beautiful, and now we're waiting for the sun to go down, which should be even more beautiful, and then we'll have a nice little walk back on our camel friends.
And we'll share a little time lapse with you, and we'll start shooting that when it gets a little closer. But this is going to be one of those aha moments, I think. It was a beautiful stay here at Wadi-Rum, quiet village. One of the reasons for that is that they have some of the creature comforts that you expect at home. You get a little bit of electricity to charge things and lights, and you have some hot water for a shower. And they do that all with solar, which makes sense because you're not going to pipe electricity all the way out here. But it does make you feel a little bit better about your impact on the environment, and it was something that I really enjoyed.
Well, that wraps up our tour of Wadi-Rum. It has been absolutely beautiful. We went on a crazy Jeep ride, and we did the sunset camel tour, and we saw beautiful stars, and we got to hang out with the Bedouins, and we got to see the way that they traditionally would have made dinner, and it was just a great time. I highly recommend it for everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the video almost as much as we enjoyed actually making it. But either way, you guys need to add this to your bucket list. Listening to the music at night and eating the traditional meals, it's just been great, and I absolutely recommend it.
We keep teasing you with this like great meal that we had, and that's what we're going to be covering next week, and then we're going to do like a food in Jordan the following week. So we're really going to get into his ballywick and get in my belly.
Oh, I wish it was in my belly. Man, looking back at the footage, we had so many great meals. I can't wait to share that with you, and you guys just gonna have to stay tuned for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was only one video for Wadi-Rum, but if you did, please drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, find yourself on the journey.